Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Siciliano, Managing Director of Tiger Recruitment, and I'm joined today by Angela Lopes, who's the Director and Head of our City office. Today we are sharing our quarterly update with you just to sort of bring everyone that's interested in some of the market updates, what we're seeing out there. So we're going to start off with just a general market update. Angela, what would you say you are seeing?
Well, I'd like to say that actually it's all positive news that we'll be sharing. Things are picking up. We've seen that across Q3, and feel like we're gathering more momentum as we've gone into Q4, and only expect hopefully that that's going to continue on.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if you look at sort of the conversations that we had last quarter, it was around the market being really heavily focused on more of the temp and contract placements. Again, we're still seeing that strength in the temp and contract market, but in addition, that permanent market has really started to come back now. I think we're seeing a lot more coming through on the permanent side. The permanent job seekers seem to be pleased that they're hearing about more opportunities out there now.
Yeah, and I know certainly speaking with job seekers, rather than them pinning their hopes on one job idea, they've now often got multiple interviews lined up, which it is great, because I think just builds confidence amongst peers as well. If anyone else is going to be job seeking, that there are those roles out there. But I think one of the things I have noticed is those that are looking for a higher increase in salary, maybe those with slightly less experience, they are getting those ideas with a 10-15k increase, but they're not securing the roles necessarily, and I think that has been a challenge, certainly from the recruiter's point of view, because of having to manage expectations as to why they may not be successful in achieving such a big increase.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're just not seeing as much movement at that sort of more experienced level of the market. And I think that's where perhaps it is meaning that those candidates are getting interviews for the roles that are a step up in salary. But it's because the hiring managers are needing to find the talent from somewhere. So they are experimenting and looking at candidates that are sort of more up and coming in terms of the experience they've got. But I would agree that those candidates aren't necessarily getting the roles. I think the next interesting thing that everyone is waiting for is what's going to happen with this autumn budget as well, and any surprises that may bring.
Yeah, and whether we see things turn and temp continue to I guess pick up like we had seen for majority of this year. Which it hasn't. I wouldn't say that it's even tailed off with the increase in the number of permanent positions. It has still remained consistent on the temp and fixed term side. So it is just an overall increase in the number of roles.
Yeah, I would agree, and it's been really nice just to see that permanent market come back, and you can see in the job flow the number of jobs going up on the website and things like that. There's definitely a lot more coming through, which is nice.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is worth noting as well is that when managing the expectations with job seekers and what their wants are, what their motivations are for looking, there is I would say the more experienced hires are seeking or for what's important to them, it's about the overall package, the benefits, versus base salary, which I think those looking second, third jobber levels, that's their primary focus.
And also just the work-life balance and working with a good team. I've spoken to so many candidates that are saying, look, if I'm working with a good team, if it's a respectful environment, then I'm going to take the same money. So I think that's something that seems to be ranking really highly for job seekers.
Would you agree? I mean, with the hybrid working, that not much has changed. 4 days is more, certainly I would say within financial services, pretty normal.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies that were going to make changes made them earlier in the year. I think if anything, it is moving more towards every now and then there'll be another company that you hear about bringing everyone back into the office on a full-time basis, but it seems to be more, it's the alternative to making employment cuts. So it's kind of, I feel like companies are going for that move of getting people in to sort of see some natural attrition rather than making employee cuts.
Yeah, I mean, some meetings that I have heard of some cuts that have been due to AI. I don't feel that that's affected business support positions as such, but certainly in other business areas. And I'm expecting that's probably only going to continue to increase.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I'm just thinking if there are any other employer trends that we've seen as well. Interviews, like maybe on the interview front, it's been about companies that are, from what I've seen, taking a little bit more time to find the right hire. So happy to interview candidate CVs that they're seeing, but perhaps wanting to see more options and thoroughly interview those options before they make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I look at even roles that I've had over the past couple of months, they have been pretty lengthy processes, which in a busy market just wouldn't be possible. But they just wanted to explore to make sure that several rounds of interviews. But I also think that candidates, and again, where they're being cautious, they aren't just accepting the first role that comes along. They are seeing out that process if they are interested. But yes, it can be that they are weeks or months long on occasion.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. And I think it's something that the team have seen. Clients, like they might have a few candidates that they're interviewing, and there's a few candidates in process, but they're still open to seeing more options towards the end of the process, just to make sure they're seeing the very best people for their role. Which is also really interesting. Any roles that you think we've been seeing consistently, or areas that are busier?
I think that there's certainly been more front of house positions. I don't know if you feel that you've seen more of those coming through.
Yeah, I think the team is seeing that more front of house, more general office admin roles, or like team assistant type roles. I'm not sure why that's come up, but it definitely seems to be a trend where we're looking for those kind of candidates that are in the market for their second job.
Yes. And I think there's also, in addition to the front of house operation, say office managers, but the operation more junior level positions coming through as well.
Yeah, and I think we've seen, we always see the demand for this, but those experienced finance PAs and people that kind of have worked in those fast-paced financial services industries, whether it's private equity, asset management, things like that, venture capital, and the clients that just want to know they're going to get a candidate that's going to hit the ground running.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there is a good pool of those candidates out there looking. I think what I'm starting to notice now, as we're approaching the end of the year, is bonus times coming up. And if they're on the market looking, it needs to be a pretty great package, or even companies, if they're considering sign-on bonuses, in order to make those hires as soon as possible. Otherwise, waiting until the new year to make the move.
Yeah, and we always see this where it tends to be, especially for the companies, that they might announce what the bonuses are at the end of the year, but not pay them until March time.
Exactly.
You sort of get the candidates that start putting the feelers out, want to wait until that bonus is paid and then make the move. So I think already we're starting to see a little bit of that now. Like we're already towards the end of October. I think it's just going to sort of scary to think about the number of weeks we've got left, and I think candidates are sort of feeling that as well, and thinking, okay, let me just start asking the question to see what's out there for the new year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably the main things there. And then very excitingly, we've got our 2026 salary guide coming out soon as well.
Yeah, I think that's due to launch mid-November. So if everybody wants to keep an eye out for details to request their copy when it's released.
Yeah, and we've obviously been lucky enough to have a sneak peek at that, and there's some really interesting content in there, and like even some of the details around sort of benefits that candidates are looking for and how that's changed over the last 12 months. I thought that was really interesting as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, excellent. I think they're probably some of the key areas there. Anything else you can think of to mention, Angela?
No, I'm actually just excited to see what happens over the next couple of months and the autumn budget. I think that's going to really determine maybe what we're going to be looking at for Q1 next year. Can't believe I'm already saying that.
Agreed. Excellent. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. If you want any more information on anything that we've spoken about, feel free to get in touch directly, and we'll speak to you again next quarter.